Go.
Hello, everybody. It's Cynthia Gardner O'Neill, and I'm here at Adventures of the Heart, building wisdom through experience. And today we have a really heartfelt show today, as we are with my co-host Lynn Hawkins and Dr. Deb DiBiasie. And we are going to be talking about the heart of shared crowdsource funding. And this is really an important thing for people to be sharing their heart and how they get it out there and how they raise the money to do more good in the world. And I've heard Lynn speak to that many, many times. This is something that is really dear to her heart and what she's been helping me with. And she's been helping me get introduced to the people who make a difference in this what would you call it, in this kind of source that's available to us. So I'm going to introduce Lynn Hawkins here. She's coming in to tell you a little bit about our guest and everything, and about herself and all that we have coming up. So take it over, Lynn. Come on in.
All right. Thank you so much, Cynthia. Hi, everybody. I'm Lynn Hawkins. I'm the founder and dean of the P3 Academy of Social Entrepreneurship, where we help entrepreneurs become bigger social entrepreneurs, doing more business, deriving more revenue, and doing more good in the world. And that's what we're going to talk about today. I am so excited to have friend and colleague Deb DiBiasie to join us today. And, you know, I often talk about the subject of crowdfunding, what it is, how you do it, the systems and processes that you want to consider moving through as you're getting your project prepared to launch out to the world. And having said that, did you know that 80% of all crowdfunding projects fail to meet their funding goals? Some may be a slight amount less than their goal. Many don't reach a fraction of their goal. And there's really, I think, two gigantic reasons why. One of which is in the preparedness side of things. They're not prepared. They don't allow themselves enough time, and they don't have the resources to be able to go to and say, is this the right way I'm doing this? Should I have a different this, or should I do this a different way? And the other is because they don't have the sufficient amount of support. And in support, I'm talking about support in raising the funds. And we're going to talk about that today because there is something on the horizon called shared crowdsourced funding. And we're going to talk about it with our guest today. I want you to meet Dr. Deb DiBiasie. And while I've known Deb for, gosh, going on a year now, I keep finding out these wonderful little things that Deb has done. And I guess that's a reciprocal kind of thing. But she's a naturopathic doctor and a researcher that works at the intersection of energy, environment, natural health, and internet technology, with especially around family and game nights with friends. She's a business owner. Since 1975, she was forced to reinvent herself after a near-fatal head-on collision with a drunk driver. And when you get into the space of realizing your environment, the energy that surrounds you, your natural health, and how technology plays into it all, you do bring it into your family. You do extend it out to your friends and colleagues and associates. And it was because of this accident and this near-death experience, Deb pursued a creative solution that allowed her to provide for her family while undergoing a strenuous recovery and physical therapy routine. This led to her becoming a specialist in internet business services. Her extensive background, experiences, and schooling in art and human science have equipped her with a personal connection in relating to other people by helping them solve marketing and communication challenges. The Ads Doctor Boutique web marketing studio was influenced by the need to help local small businesses, local backyard farmers, and commercial agricultural farm owners and related product suppliers to solve web-based digital marketing challenges in their era of technology change. And if you are like me, you know that as business evolves, as our lives evolves, so do our connection to technology. It evolves as well. And you know, agriculture and sustainable environmental issues for people who are grassroots on the ground doing, you know, hands in the dirt, really have had a disconnect with technology. And Dr. Deb put herself in between that space in order to bridge the gap. She loves to guide business owners on how to comprehend and utilize various web-based communication strategies and how to expand their local reach on the internet, implementing strategies that prove to help gain greater market share for their business, both online and offline. And she actually does also bring that to the crowdfunding space. When she's not glued to her laptop and spending time on the web, she's spending time with family, loving on her 2 rescue grand dogs, and enjoying time with friends, gardening, stargazing, and being in the space of energy healing. She's an amazing mom, wife, sister, auntie, and friend. And I just want you to know, as I do, Dr. Deb DiBiasie. Hi, Deb, and welcome to the show.
Thank you, Lynn and Cynthia. It's so good to be here. I really am honored to be hanging out with you lovely ladies. You're so brilliant in all the things that you bring to the table in helping young entrepreneurs and business owners. And they do need a lot of help today because it's forever changing. Every time we turn the computer on, there's something new, something exciting, and something more challenging. And you're very right. Most of the crowdfunders out there really need a lot of support. And it's because another thing that you didn't mention is when you're dealing with crowdfunding, it really is a message of the heart. And you guys really know how to share that with your community. And I've learned so much from both of you and the people you've brought onto the P3 Academy and your program here, and I've learned so much, and thank you for that too. So yeah, let's help some folks get some funding for their programs today. Let's see what we can do together to help that.
Well, you know, I love, Deb, that you brought up, you know, as far as everything's kind of changing and how, you know, we need to be flexible and adaptable. And I always like to say, you know, flexibility and adaptability is the new stability. And we're able to do that by opening our hearts, by learning what our heart really desires. And many people are coming to what I call the new mainstream, where it isn't about what's in it for me. It's about what can I do to be of more service? How can I help in a bigger way? And that's what I want to learn from people out there, where I go searching out my education. And what can I learn that will help me serve in a bigger way? And so we have to be that adaptable, that flexibility to be able to receive that information and get out there and meet people such as what we're meeting with you. And today we're being really adaptable and flexible to bring you here. And because right now I'm having technical difficulties, so I can't be there where you guys can actually see me, right? And when you were talking about technical challenges and stuff like that, or moving into using it for your greater good. And there's a quote that I heard from the man who wrote The Alchemist, Paulo Coelho, and he said, you know, today is about taking ancient wisdom and applying it with new technology. And that's the best way we can move forward in life right now.
I fully agree.
I do as well. And that was such a beautiful quote. I love Paulo Coelho and just the whole concept of alchemy and harmony and balance and, you know, the question of how do we do more good in the world? How do we bring the things that we know will prompt doing more good for more people, easing the pain of life, easing the struggle that there obviously is in the world, in places where there's flooding, in places where there's extreme cold, in places where there's war and the ravagement of war. People, when it's over and done, are in the stage of rebuilding. And how do we help that to happen? Even in our own backyards. You know, we may have neighbors who are, having challenges putting food on the table. How do we help them to make that happen and make it happen in a more holistic way? You know, there's some things about the dollar store that I love, but if you've got your last $5 and you're going to do your grocery shopping at the dollar store, it's not the place you necessarily want to go. Yet, where do you go then becomes the question. And is there a way to grow sustainable food on your own? Is there a way to teach people how to do that? Is there a way to bring those kinds of projects to the world that make them easier to do, that make it easier for people to have access to? And that's what we're going to talk about today, because it truly is about the going from me to we, because it is in that collaborative space that I believe we truly find the heart of crowdfunding. So Deb, give us your take on the heart of crowdfunding. What is the heart of crowdfunding? Where do you find the heart of crowdfunding?
Well, crowdfunding is not a new concept. It has become a worldwide phenomenon because of social media, and I think it's the generation of the millennials that have brought that together, because I have 4 children, they're all millennials, and I've learned to understand some things from their friends. They're givers, they're doers, they care about other people first, and they just share. It's just amazing. That's how come this whole crowdfunding thing took off, is they saw a need, they had a couple extra bucks, and they shared it. And the crowdfunding mechanisms out there really exemplify how this group of people and all the people that are jumping on board, I'm not saying that, like, it's not just that generation, but it's catching on, because when you give from your heart and you care about other people, it attracts. It's a very attractive thing to do. And it makes you feel good. Even if it's $5, you gave and you did something to help somebody out. You took yourself out of the equation, or you put yourself in the equation of, oh, what if that was me? And to be able to be involved with that in this crowdfunding mechanism is just an honorable thing. One of the things that is tough about technology, and as a naturopath, that I study a lot of all the different components of the human body, the whole DNA and structure, and a lot of that which we neglect is our soul, our mind, and the whole thought process connecting to our hearts. And when I can help people to get their messages straight, because when you're asking somebody to give you money for a project, way to do it, and there's a certain way not to do it. And I think that's part of the problem people have, is they don't know how to communicate enough to other people to pull their heartstrings so that they can pull on their wallet strings to give them, a support for their project financially. And that's where, we've talked a lot about crowdsourcing, because a lot of people don't have that money, but they do want to contribute, and they have a skill, or they have a talent, or they can, do sweat equity or something just to get involved. I mean, they may not have the dollars, but it's not all about the dollars. And this is what I've come to learn with the We Share program. It's not about the dollars entirely. It's about the relationships that you build, the people that you help, the family that you develop through this. And all of that community and resources that you share really makes the whole pie. It's not all about the money. The people, what would happen if the money system fell apart? What would you have? Would you have your neighbor that you can count on? Would your neighbor be able to count on you? What about your community? What kind of community? Is your community all on the web? Get out and start meeting people. Because you know what? When the web goes down, God forbid if it does, be prepared. Do something first for somebody else. And that always comes back. That's just the law of reciprocity. And there are so many laws that we neglect today, but I think they're coming back. I really do. I have this real strong sense that all this is a revelation to a lot of people, but it's really how we should be. And it's a good feeling to know that unfortunately there's many disasters, but when all those disasters pile up, there's so many awesome opportunities to go out and do all these wonderful people. And, you know, I'm partially disabled, so I believe that helping other people become leaders in doing these things is really what we should be doing, what I should be doing anyway, is because in everyone there is a leader. And it's not necessarily in our society today pulled out of people and encouraged because of the way our business structure is. They don't want people to be leaders. They want just a few people to be leaders. We need everybody to be a leader. And that is the generation that's coming up. It's everybody helps everybody be a leader in their own level of strength and capacity and skill. And that's where we share in crowdfunding really comes to light. And it's a beautiful thing. Glad to be a part of it.
Yeah.
I love it. Go ahead,
Lynn. We share.
You go ahead.
Well, I just wanted to speak to, what you're speaking of here is what I love to say is value to value relationships. You know, I love to talk to, Lynn and I have had conversations around creating a value to value network of people, and that also what you're talking about with the We Share. It's a network of people coming together, sharing in the value to bring in the funds that are needed to support these compassionate the things that we are compassionate about. And compassion, I really believe we heal through our compassion. And when we do, we'll have these disasters that will continue to happen and things like that. But what they're showing in a lot of the investigations of, the intention experiment and things like that, when we have terrible things that might happen, and taking of lives or something like that, we show that we can show a resonance of the heart along with the earth, that it changes and it raises consciousness, it raises compassion. So the more disasters, if we have these disasters, the more compassion though comes out even bigger. So they showed, during 9/11, when that happened, actually our hearts, this is a thing about the heart being connected with the earth and everything around it, they showed people's the heartbeat of the world raised way before the 9/11 happened. They didn't know what was getting ready to happen, but there was showing signs of they have these areas where they can monitor change in energy flow and things like that, and they showed it raised up. So our hearts know far before something is going to happen, and they show this in a lot of heart math information that they have out there, that when something's going to happen that's traumatic, our hearts will let us know that something's going to happen. And so after 9/11 happened, the compassion that came out throughout the world was far beyond what anybody thought would happen. It infected the world. Same thing when the tsunami came in. And there's the other part, around with the heart, we're so desensitized to feel. The heart is what feels. I believe we feel first before we think. It's shown in many science and studies and everything that that's true. The thing is we've been so desensitized that we don't feel things before they're going to happen. And nature always is backing off. So when the big tsunami came at one time, you know, the water pulled away from the shore about, they said, about 5 miles in, and all the a bunch of people, you know, who were on vacation and everything, went down and started collecting the seashells. Now, you know that that water has to come back, right? Well, at the same time, the animals in nature, all, even dogs, were breaking loose and running for the height of the hills. They went up. Meanwhile, human beings who are on vacation, disconnected from who they are and what's going on in the world, are going down into the into the ocean to actually pick up the seashells when the danger was there. So what I'm bringing up here is about us all coming together and really feeling again and really sharing in our values and helping one another. And like you said, get to know your community. You know, yeah, we have a lot of communities that are online and everything like that are very supportive. And I remember Alex Mendoza saying, you know, he was known all over the world for what he did. And when he went to start doing something in his own community, no one knew who he was. And that's when he started shifting the way he did business. So I bring up all of that because it leads back to the heart. Everything is based in the heart, and like you said, it's coming back. We're starting to feel again. We're starting to understand our hearts, and that's why we're moving in these directions with, like, We Share and the crowdfunding and all those kind of things, because we want to help one another. We want to make a difference. We want to make a contribution, and that makes us feel good when we're contributing. So I just wanted to, you know, kind of round that out and bring in all that heart stuff. So now, Lynn.
Well, thank you.
I love that, Cynthia. That was great.
Yeah.
I'd like to find out where that heart website is that shows the heart beat of the world. That would be great to look at.
Yeah, yeah.
So please let me know what that is. That'd be great.
I will. I'll pull that up and I'll get this link on there.
Cool.
On here, so.
I just love the fact that, you know, we are moving into a time where what has been talked about for quite some time is now being shown in the results that we're seeing out in the marketplace. And even the results of the different types of crowdfunding that we're seeing out in the marketplace. And we all know that there's more than one type of crowdfunding, and most of us have seen the linear type, that is the Kickstarter and the Indiegogo, Rocket Hub, the kind that, you know, you actually put your project or program on that platform, and then you work diligently according to your planned strategy as far as raising funds. And I've done a few of those types of crowdfunding opportunities. And the one thing that I noticed, and Deb, I'd love for you to speak to this, is that you are, for the most part, a lone ranger. Because one of the things that you are not taught is about how to give yourself support through processing and asking for donations, for setting up your perks, for doing all of the pieces that may be necessary in order for you to launch a crowdfunding project on one of those platforms. Speak to some of the things that you have seen with even, you know, making the distinction of the heart-based project. Some of the challenges that you've seen that have come up on having your project and raising funds on some of these platforms, these linear platforms.
Sure. The linear platforms are very challenging for a lot of people, excuse me, because first of all, you have to think about, even today in business, most people do not know how to do a marketing campaign, a successful marketing campaign. If you own a business, you're focused on your business. You hire someone to do your marketing. okay? And now you have someone who's trying to start up a business and trying to do their marketing at the same time. You either have the experience of the expertise in one area and not the other. And it's unfortunate that usually if you're on a crowdfunding platform, you don't have the funds to go hire someone to go do your marketing. And I'll tell you right now, there's a lot of people out there that do marketing, big people on the internet that hire someone to do their copywriting for them. And copywriting is a very intense subject matter, and it requires systems almost to write a good piece of copy. There are certain components that you have to address, and they're almost intuitive. However, there are have to address. Now, just for an example, just to do a standard marketing campaign for your business, there are about 288 different components that have to be involved in that message. How many people know that? Most don't. So if you're not, and then that's just for a marketing campaign for something that you're going to sell somebody, so that there is a transaction that they are going to get something for their money. Okay? And now when you're in a marketing campaign and you're asking someone to give you a donation, if you don't have that skill of how to ask, you're going to fail. Okay, so there's just one piece of the puzzle, which is the copy of what you're trying to share with the world, and the importance of what it is that you're trying to do to stimulate their compassion for you or your project to give you money. Okay? And then there's creating your video. Most people have zero clue on how to structure a communication strategy within a video. Not to mention how to edit it correctly, how to make it appealing, how to keep people hanging on to your every word. Video is a wonderful way to communicate. However, people just really don't have the skill in order to do it effectively. Those are just two components. Then the third component is before you even launch a campaign. I shared this campaign with somebody the other day. Now Greece, country of Greece, is completely falling apart. And there's a young man who is trying to develop a currency. It's like those cooperative currencies. I don't know if you've ever heard of them. And it's like almost like my friend calls them a Hully Gully buck. It's almost like something like an airline, what do they call those, points programs. It's not cash, but you can use it amongst the people who are using it.
Kind of like a barter buck.
Barter buck, kind of like the barter buck, right. However, so this gentleman shared this campaign, and they're looking to raise like $11 million or something. It had been on the the platform for 45 days. They only had 2 donors to the tune of $150. And I said, I wonder if he did any pre-marketing. I wonder if he understood how to communicate with his community. I wonder if he even had a community to communicate with. And so you see, these are some of the things that we tried to ask people is, who's your network? Can you reach out to your network? Can you share with them prior to launching your campaign? And I've come to learn that it can take up to 6 months to pre-launch your campaign and get people excited about it, so that when you pull that trigger, you have at least 30% of the people already contributing. And people don't know that. They think they're just going to go to these Kickstarter platforms. I'm not picking on Kickstarter. They think they're just going to go there and the people are just going to come. Build it and they'll come. Not going to happen. There's so much competition out there right now that you really need to prepare for your project. It's called a pre-launch. Do people pre-launch? Not so much. Some of the other things that happen is that people don't know how to ask people to help. How do I say this? They don't know how to ask their community to help reach out to their communities to help. And there's a great amount of opportunity there. They don't have, maybe they don't have they may have a Facebook campaign set up. They don't have a website set up. Website helps build credibility. And the longer your website's up, and the more you have all your other ancillary websites, like the what do you call them, the Facebooks, what do you call them, networks, pointing back, your blogging, all your comments online, everything you comment on other people's websites, everything helps build that network so that if you do not have a huge following, you will begin to have one if your message is correct and you're in the right audience. And that's another thing people don't do. They don't even research to find out if their project is viable, if someone's even going to be interested in it. There's surveys that need to be done. There's a lot of research that needs to be done. There's quite a bit of project management that has to take place after all that stuff's done. So, people are, they're not taught how to do this correctly. It's a new thing too. So, that's what hopefully we can do to help people to understand whether or not their project's viable, whether or not their message is going to work. And, it takes a lot of time, money, and effort that most people do not have. They don't understand that they're going to have to be doing this 30 to 50 hours a week prior to the launch. And there's a lot that goes into it. There's a real lot that goes into it that no one tells these people. And it's sad, because some of them do have some pretty good projects. And there's another thing, too, that how to create a perk. What is that perk? What is it going to do for that person that's going to encourage them to give you more? And some people think it's a t-shirt. Some people think it's a hat. Everybody's got a million t-shirts and hats. Oh, here's a coffee mug. Oh, I have 2 million of those. What is the perk? Now, here's an example. I'm down here in southern Arizona, southeastern Arizona, and this is determined as a food desert, which means there's not healthy food. I just did a research on the local community, just the local county. There are 20 towns in the local county and 11 grocery stores. 11 grocery stores in like a 60-mile range. So our thing is to possibly start building these greenhouses through crowdfunding. Okay, so what's the perk? Give me $50 and I'll give you 5 pounds of tomatoes. It's like the perk is related, or peppers. Or here's a $50 coupon to come pick whatever $50 worth of vegetables you want. So it's something that is a good exchange, and not everybody can do that with their projects. However, some have the opportunity to do a pre-sale for something, and that is really, those are the projects that really take off. If it's a cool gadget and you can buy it a little cheaper, you can buy it a little cheaper. And a lot of people go shopping actually on a lot of these websites, the crowdfunding websites. So these are just some of the things. I mean, we could talk all day about this stuff, So, and I think we might be talking for a couple of days coming up. People how to decipher what it is that they can do and what they should do for a successful.
Right. It sounds like to me that you're really helpful in helping people find their value and the value that they're trying to put out there. So as you're talking about, the value-to-value exchange network that you're creating. And that is, so important. That's what is missing. Even people going out and asking, I heard you say that a few times about asking for help, asking for money. How many of us do suffer from that very thing, asking and feeling valuable enough to ask and receive that? We have to find our value first, and what we value is important, and it brings value to other people. But a lot of people, they want to do good in the world, but they're having a problem with their own value. And they can't get out there and market it, and they can't get out there and ask for help, and they don't know how to communicate within the community. And it just sounds like what you've been sharing with us, that that's something that's been missing, that you guys are really looking to help people really understand the core of what makes a good, opportunity to crowdfund, that we share all of that. So am I hearing that right?
I think you are. Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, is we don't value ourselves enough. In I've been looking at the whole concept of love. We don't love ourselves, and love is the most powerful thing on the earth. And people don't understand what loving yourself is really all about. They look at it as superficial, but taking care of yourself and loving yourself and forgiving yourself and all these different things that people we're not taught these things. I think if we learn to love ourselves as we love God and other people, then we will have success in pretty much everything that we do. But it's not first in our line of thinking. And once we can get through that, then we can turn around and really help other people from the soul and the heart. And fortunately, our world is changing, I believe, to have that heart center, and you guys are really leading the charge on this, and I'm honored to be with you to learn how to do it even better. So you're right, I think, when you say that.
Thank you. Yeah, that's why I felt such a connection with you when also Lynn, brought you into my awareness, and as Lynn always says, open hearts, open hearts. You have that open heart, she has that open heart, and we have this heart venture that we have together. And I think people learning about their hearts and learning about their value and all those things helps bring you to the people that you resonate with, that they have the same heart's desire you do. And that's how we get into that value to value exchange network, those relationships that we're looking for. And it's so organic when we actually allow ourselves to be in our hearts, to really listen to them, because it does guide us. Our heart is so wise, because it, what I teach is that we feel first before we think. So when you feel, and you can let yourself know way ahead of the time before something disastrous is going to happen, before it comes into your physical realm of feeling, so to speak. And so the more we are in our hearts, the wiser decisions that we make. And some people call it, being a psychic, because some people look at me and say, because I'm an empath and everything, and they go, "Are you psychic?" It's not so much that I'm psychic. I don't like to even call it that. What I am is I'm in my heart, and I can feel far before something comes into my actual physical space, so that I can say, this is getting ready to happen, because I feel it. I feel it in my path, coming into that energy. And then I can make a decision far before that I'm, have to react to it. Let's put it that way. And many people are reactive. I mean, we're taught within even driving a car. A long time ago, they started this defensive driving thing, to be defensive, which means you have to pay attention to what other people are doing, not what you're doing. And now we have a lot of road rage. People are defensive. I really think they need to change that whole thing. This is about us coming into community, into heart, like you're speaking about, and how we can really work together and with one another in community. And that's the same thing when we're talking about people prepping for, some people get all the ammunition you can, so you can fight for your stuff, right? I said to somebody who was telling me that, I said, God, I don't want to live in a world where you shoot someone to keep my home, to keep something from someone else. I'm not that kind of person. I want to thrive, and I want to thrive with my community. I want to thrive with the world. I want to be able to share and help one another. That's what I see happening. Should a disaster come, I think we will see the compassion rise, and we will need to open our hearts to know that our neighbor, to love thy neighbor as thyself. and love ourselves. You know, we can't give what we don't have within ourselves. So yes, thank you so much for bringing that in. And yeah, that's where I'm at too with you. So that's why we have us all here together.
Right.
Well, you know,
Right.
it's interesting, Cynthia. You mentioned a couple of things, including, you know, the whole value that we bring in the way of the crowdfunding projects that we're talking about, and really being in alignment with the value that we're sharing through these projects, to bring about a sense of thriving. And that does come from the whole sharing and the cooperating and the collaborating and the contributing that we find ourselves in when we come together as the collective to accomplish a goal. And each one of these crowdfunding projects that we were talking about, the sustainable organic food, the transportation, the bringing solar energy to people who are without light, bringing just some of the education, holistic education, as well as literacy education into areas where they are without. And those who are seeking to change, to enhance, to empower communities are those who have the stories that can garner the support that you're talking about. Those who have the stories that can share within those stories the value of the offer and the value of the exchange of this perk for these dollars to support this cause. That's what we're looking at when we're talking about crowdfunding as a whole. And then, you know, the whole aspect of it being bigger than me. What's going to benefit my project. It may be my project, it may be my idea, my intellectual property, my invention, my whatever it is, but it has to move out of the means of my and me into the we. There has to be the connection into the collaborative, cooperative community that we've been speaking of, in order for it to garner any sense of value. And so, Dr. Deb, we're talking about crowdfunding, and we've mentioned about crowdsourcing, where, you know, you may not have the dollars or the massive amount of dollars to contribute to a particular cause, but you have something. You have maybe it's you have a network of friends that you can, you know, push this information into or share this information with, and make the ask of them to share it even further. That is the sourcing that we're talking about. Let's talk a little more about the sharing, and especially where, you know, platform related, we're talking about the sharing. Now, you and I talked the other day about one platform in particular be evolving to lend the opportunity to its contributors, people who have been contributing to other projects within that platform, the opportunity that when they share their program and project, there's a further sharing opportunity. Why don't you tell our audience a little bit about that in a little more specificity?
Okay, well, I have a website that I created. It's called Crowdfunding Doctors, DRS.com. And what it is a bookmarking site. And I created that so that I could keep up to speed with what's going on in the market, in the industry today and every day. So it takes the news, anything that's printed on the web. So go there and learn. I learned about probably 3 weeks ago, there was a study that maybe it was a little bit longer. There was a study that I read. A young man went out to the different platforms, and he noticed something unique. He noticed that if you were an individual, well, when you sign in, when you donate to any one of these platforms, you have to open an account. And on your account, there shows a little tick every time you give someone donation. So if you have given in the past to a variety of different campaigns, it's indicated. So now all of a sudden you want to put up a project. Well, people will look at the fact that you already gave. You're a giver. Now, it's not 100% proven, but the chances of those people who you gave to very well give back to you. So you could have, say, if you gave 10 donations, you get 10 donations back. It might not be the same amount you gave, but people have that reciprocity thing going on. Now, what happens too is other people will see that you're a giver, and they'll say, well, I'm going to give to them because they might give to me. So there's this sharing that goes on within these communities that's starting to evolve. And at the end of this this article, he did quite a bit of research. At the end of this article, it said, this will escalate. This is a part of what's happening. It's random right now, and it looks like it's going to evolve because people want to share and give. That's the community. That is the society. It's a sharing, collaborative society that these young people are a part of. That's just who they came into the world. They're the, is it X, Y, Z, Y generation? They're the sharers, the givers, the doers, and they're also the warriors of the next world, of our whole next, evolution. And they're paving the way. And so when you see these different platforms randomly doing this, it sends yet another message of the sharing factor. Now, we also understand another platform, and I don't know when you want to start talking about that, but wouldn't it be so cool if the sharing was determined and specific and designated, and everybody was able to receive in that sharing? And that's what, when I read that article, I said, this is a beautiful thing. This is just such a beautiful thing to be a part of. It really, really is. And as I learn every day, and I hope people will go to that website and just continue to learn about crowdfunding before you jump into it, because it's not easy. Definitely is not an easy thing to do. And people think, oh, free money. Nope, it's not free money. You have to work hard for that too.
Mm-hmm.
But there are people out there that are willing to support you, and in these mechanisms that are already online, and I think what's there, about 700 of them now. Mm-hmm. It's growing worldwide. It's a worldwide phenomenon. And actually, when we talk about the crowdfunding mechanisms that are what they call investment based, those are growing in exponential numbers. The debt and the equity based. However, when you think about what it takes to get going with those kinds of mechanisms, it is so expensive and timely and very, very, very specific as to what you can do and what you can't do. It's governed by the SEC. And not all projects fit all crowdfunding mechanisms. That's another thing that I neglected to say a moment ago, is that you really have to know the platforms in which you want to host your project. And that's another thing. It's a lot of research. And another thing that's a really good way to research how to do your project is go research those projects that are in your category. Go see what they've done. Go see if they made it. Go see if they didn't. And learn more about your category and glean from it.
I love that you mentioned that, because a lot of people think the only research that's necessary is, will my project fit a need? And while that is an element of the research involved in what we're talking about, there's more to it as well. The research on similar projects. Were they successful? Were they not? What made them successful? What made those that were not successful? And how can you apply that research knowledge to making your project more successful? And then you talked about the whole sharing concept, and I love this article and the results that were determined by this gentleman around the random sharing. And I know that, and we're going to talk just a bit about the WeShare platform, but I want people to know that the WeShare platform is truly that. It is the we, and we are sharing. And it is the sharing that Dr. Deb talked about that allows the intentional sharing. So you've actually increased exponentially your results opportunity by it being intentional versus random. And so Dr. Deb, talk to us a little bit about the WeShare platform, just, you know, an overview, because I know that there's something that we're going to offer to our audience, a free opportunity to join the two of us to not only learn a little bit more about the WeShare platform, but to actually go through learning the steps to create a great crowdfunding campaign. So tell us a little bit about the WeShare platform and how the value of the sharing that goes along in there.
Well, the WeShare platform, after learning and failing at crowdfunding, I was introduced to this platform, and it wasn't called WeShare at the time. And this gentleman had called me to buy a greenhouse kit. I saw greenhouse kits online. And he shared with me that he was on this platform, and it was a crowdfunding platform, and he raised the money. And I said, oh, yeah, that's nice. I don't want anything to do with it because I know it's so hard to do. And he goes, no, it's different. This is really, really different. And I said, yeah, okay. Well, he kept after me, and I finally looked at it, and I was like, oh, it is different. A little hard to understand, but different. Because it really took into consideration the fact that you do not have to go out and do all that marketing, advertising, research. You just have to focus on helping 2 people or 3 people, and that's it. And help them, help them. It's community-based. It's when you are on this platform, you do have to put up your project. You don't have to do a video because people aren't looking at you. You are helping other people. The typical standard linear crowdfunding, investment crowdfunding, all focuses on the project owner, and it's all about them. In this platform, it's all about everybody else. And the more you help other people get what they want, the more you get what you need. And it's resources. We share resources. We share funds intentionally. So when you donate in this platform, all the donations are shared. They do not go to the company that's hosting the website. And what we do is we want to bring people into the platform that have a legitimate project. Now, does everybody make it in? Not in my group. They have to have a real legitimate project. They have to know how to do a business. They have to have their business plan ready, like they were going to go to a bank. Because I don't want a flounderer coming in and not doing what they need to do when this money shows up, because it's going to show up. You really want to know how to move forward, because crowdfunding is one thing. Then you have to go develop your business. But should you develop your business first before you do crowdfunding? Develop your business first. Know who your market is. Know who your customers are. Know what you're going to be doing. So that still applies with this mechanism. So yes, I will definitely vet my people that I'm bringing in and help others to understand who they should invite, what level of experience do they have in growing a business or running a project. Now, with WeShare, you can do anything from raise funds to get a hip replaced, medical, emergencies, all those different things. However, with the groups that I want to work with, I'm all about building small business and generating economic development wherever it is that we can do it, because we really need that in this country so bad. We need a lot of things, but with a good, strong economy, we can do so many more things to help more people. So that's where I'm focused in the We Share movement, if you want to call it that. So within the We Share movement, there is a very specific donation strategy. And you basically have to just start out with a $200 donation, and it's a very, we'll have to talk about this in depth at another time, because you really have to be focused on just that conversation. But however, this donation strategy happens when the exponential growth happens and more people come in with projects that go find more people with projects. We're not only just developing our own project, we're developing communities of businesses and strengthening economies. Now, if you don't have a business, but you want to be a part of this, you can also make a straight up donation, like in a linear fashion. However, what happens here, which is much better, I believe, is that donation goes directly to your project. You do not bypass Go. It doesn't go to a company to take a percentage of it. It goes directly to your project. So this is the big difference that I find here with this. Another difference that I find with this community is that all donations go to projects. The only fees are the processing of the payment fees.
Like regular credit card payment fees.
Yep.
Very similar to that. And I love that you brought that in, that the platform truly is about community. And it is through the activities of the community that all benefit. And, with that said, Dr. Deb, tell people about the project that you and I have been working on. And I will help you in bringing to the world that explanation. But, you mentioned, and I want to make sure that our audience knows, you mentioned a place to go and learn, a resource mechanism for getting information on crowdfunding, on shared crowdsourced funding, on anything relative to crowdfunding. And it's a place where you found this additional information about the random crowd sharing opportunities that are in some, at least one of the other platforms. So give us that link once again. And we're going to make sure that it's out in the event page and on the YouTube data. But go ahead and give us that link one more time.
Oh, for the crowdfundingdoctors.com?
Yes.
Okay. It's www.crowdfundingdrs.com. And it's an educational tool, pretty much. It does not promote one over the other. It teaches you about all the SEC rulings. It shows you how people are successful, and there's a lot of controversy about crowdfunding today because there's a lot of failure. And so you learn every gamut of it. You might not learn exactly how to do it, but then there's people who post the 21 steps to crowdfunding, all these different really cool things that I've learned over the past year on crowdfunding. But still, it's so confusing. People go, well, where do I begin? They still don't have a beginning point, which is the project that we're talking about, is we literally realize that not every platform is right for every project. And what does that mean? Here's an example. In the next room over, there's a gentleman who has a very, very large, important project, several of them. But this one that I'm going to reference is he is in the process of understanding how to do some recycling that costs a lot of money to get going. So he needs millions of dollars to get going. His specific project needs to be on an investment platform. So he has to prepare how to um, engage in this through developing all the material, filling out all the forms for the SEC. He has to have his business plan aligned completely as if he was going to go to a bank to get money. And then he can only ask people to donate a certain amount based on their income. And it's just a whole different process. Now, he couldn't go on a Kickstarter. So these are some of the things that we want to show people is this: what is your project? How much do you need to raise? And in which mechanism are you going to use? What do you have to do? I have another gentleman, great guy. He has a really cool product. And actually, this was used by Tufts University. It's a device that sends energy and frequency to heal TMJD pain. Which is what do they call it? I forget, but it's TMG, yeah, transmandibular joint or something in your jaw. And what happened was the gentleman who had designed this project died, and so the patent was extinct. And this gentleman saw it, and he actually had raised funds to try to get the project up and running. And it all kind of fell apart because of something. Anyway, he came to me to ask me if he could do a shared crowdfunding, and I said, it would work if we could get all of Tufts business students involved, which we still might be able to do, because the doctor at Tufts who used this has been there 30 years in the pain management clinic, and he thinks this thing is the best thing since sliced bread. However, they couldn't use it for the past several years because they had no access because the gentleman died who created it. And so I said to him, I said, I don't think shared crowdfunding is for you. He needs a couple $1 million. And so I've led him to an understanding of all the different platforms. He had no clue. He wanted to just get this thing up and running. I said, no. You can't just do that. I said, I'd be leading you down the wrong path. So he's come back to me saying, I'm so glad you showed me these other mechanisms, because you're right. We share and may not be the one for me. So these are some of the things we have to show people. What is your project, based on what your project is, and there's just so many different things we have to talk about. And I think what we're trying to do with this program is going to help people understand what it is they can do to be successful.
Yes. And with what it is that you and I have put together, we are doing something that's called an open forum, where Deb and I will actually be teaching you the 5 systems of crowdfunding. And those 5 systems include your project, your business plan, your social media, and your marketing strategy. It's going to include the research that you need to do. It's going to give you a very full understanding of how to put your project together so that you can get to the place of asking for the money. And then it's going to include a second system, the money. Do you need a budget? What's your budget need to look like? How much money do you need? How much money do you want? How much money and why do you want this money? We're going to talk about knowing the sources. We're going to actually walk you through 6 crowdfunding source types, what they are, why they may be the right strategy for you, whether perks are important, how to really get the value exchange story correct for the particular platform that you're going for. One of the systems is in defining not just your story, but your capacity and your value, how you master the ask. But you can only master the ask after you've mastered creating the marketing strategy, and your pre-launch. And then the fifth system of crowdfunding, choosing the right crowdfunding mechanism. Once you've learned all of these stages and you know where you need to add to the work that you've already done, if you're just starting, you'll have the right framework to get to the next stage. You will be able to put it all together, and from your pre-launch, initiate your launch and really have a much more successful crowdfunding campaign. We're actually going to show you several things within this 90 minutes of an open forum. It's called 5 Systems of Crowdfunding. It actually happens on Monday, July 13th, so mark your calendar. Monday, July 13th, from 11 a.m. Pacific to 12:30 p.m. Pacific, and 2 to 3:30 Eastern Time. And it's going to be up on the event page here, as well as in YouTube, because we want you to share this information with everyone that you know who has thought about doing a crowdfunding project, who's in the middle of it, even those who are towards the end of it, because what we've also noted in our desire to do crowdfunding campaigns on our own is that there is always something to learn. And with hindsight being 20/20, if you can catch your campaign before it's completed to add into it that which you may be missing that could very well help you, we want you to be able to do that. And so, again, mark your calendar. Monday, July 13th, from 2 to 3:30 Eastern, 11 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. Pacific, and join us right here in Google Hangouts on air. We're going to deliver this information over 90 minutes, so really block out that time on your calendar. We don't want you to have any distractions to take you away from pulling all of this great information in. If you can't join us live, where we're going to have a Q&A session, make sure that you watch the replay. We're going to do the Q&A session as part of the Hangout, part of the 90 minutes, because we don't want you to miss the questions that are going to come from the audience. And if you have a question you want to submit ahead of time, we'll be taking those as well. So again, write it down. Put it on your calendar right now. Monday, July 13th, 11 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. Pacific, 2 to 3:30 Eastern. Join us. Come back to this page to grab the actual link. We're going to put it all out there. But you can even find the link or find the information, the invite page at bit.ly/SC sourced crowd sharing or source crowd shared funding, SCSF, and the word funding, SCS funding. So bit.ly/SCS funding, and you'll be able to find the information there. I'm looking at the time, and we've gone a little over time here, but I want to make sure that you have this information because this is important from our hearts to yours. We're offering you crowdfundingdoctors.com, that's crowdfundingdrs.com, to be able to go and plug into, bookmark that page and plug in regularly to get updated on the information that the website pulls and shares on a consistent basis. And then make sure that you put this 90 minutes aside to be with us live on Monday, July 13th, so that you can get these 5 systems of crowdfunding and make your crowdfunding project a complete and utter success. Of course, there's no guarantees, but we want you to have the best shot at it. Dr. Deb, anything to add to that?
Nope, you're a beautiful lady, and thank you for pulling this together, both of you, Cynthia as well. We will help you get to where you have to go. Again, there is never any guarantees, even with marketing. But if you do the right things, that your chances increase. And we're going to help you understand those right things. And you know what? They may change next month. Just like with, just keeping up with the SEC rulings on the fundings with investments. Those change very, very regularly. And
that's one of the reasons why these resources are so valuable, because you don't have to keep your ear to the ground and your eye plugged into every second that something is occurring, because there are people who are that close, who are watching it that tightly, who are sharing that information. And the crowdfundingdoctors.com is a great resource to plug into to make sure that you are at the front end of getting that kind of information that could impact you. But again, mark your calendar, Monday, July 13th, and join us here. Cynthia, any final words, my friend?
Well, I'm going to be there with my project.
Yes. Yes.
Because we are going to help a lot of people. So, with the Center for Loving Consciousness and, bringing in a place where we bring together a wellness provider, a whole wellness provider network, and a place for people to come and be in nature and to heal. And it's about healing the world. So I definitely want to be a part of the project, and, through, what I'm learning, I teach best. So I can add to helping get this information out there and also be an educator in how to do it. So, I think it's absolutely wonderful and fabulous, and we're so happy to have you here, Dr. Deb, and with my partner, Lynn Hawkins. So thank you guys so much.
Thank you, too. Thank you so much. I'm really excited about this.
Thank you, Dr. Deb. And thank you to our audience. Thank you for joining us today. Thank you for watching the replay, and thank you for plugging into the idea that crowdfunding could be an answer for your project, and getting the word out and sharing through the communities that we're going to be talking to you about. And we're going to go into all of that in the open forum, the 5 Systems of Crowdfunding open forum, on Monday the 13th, 11 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. right here, that Pacific time, 2 to 3:30 p.m. Eastern. And just keep an eye out, because we're going to be blasting this information. And I would really love to give a shout out to my friend Manolis Paralakis. I very seldom get his last name right, so I apologize for that, Manolis. This guy is doing so much good work within the Reality Crowd TV community and through the Vicken incubator site. And as an advisor in the site, I want to also invite all of the members to join us for the open forum, because you're in there. You've already gotten started, and this information is going to help to round out what it is that you are learning and help you to possibly move a little faster and get a little farther than just doing things on your own. Again, we're talking about community and sharing resources, sharing knowledge, sharing the benefit that we're all moving in the same direction. So join us again on Monday. But more importantly, for the Adventures of the Heart, our hearts are so blessed that you've come and spent this time with us. Join us again next week. And
Heart Ventures. We're talking about Heart Ventures here. So, yeah, the thing, we are going to be changing a venue here pretty soon.
Well, not venue, just day and time.
Yep. Yes, day and time. But we will continue to be on Thursdays, you know, as we make the shift over, we will be getting to do Wednesdays at 2 o'clock Eastern. And that's Adventures of the Heart, Building Wisdom Through Experience. We will be doing the, you know, our live at that time and continue to put up the replays and everything on Thursdays for those who are used to that so we can make the transition. And we are going to be providing a new website that'll be coming out soon, Your Heart Ventures, and having the whole web TV platform on there and everything like that. So what do you have to say to that, Lynn?
Well, what I have to say about that is I am so excited about the new show, Day and Time, and the fact that we're going to do another launch. So all of that begins in August, where we will just have everything happening on Wednesdays, 2 p.m. Eastern, and would love to see you there. However, make sure that if during the month of July you can't meet us on Wednesdays, you check out the replay, and we will be chiming in online on our Thursdays at the 8 p.m. Eastern time frame, 5 p.m. Pacific. But in the meantime, just show up, watch the replay, ping us on the event page, let us know you were in here, and really help us to understand the value of the information that we've been sharing with you. We'd love to get your feedback. Stay in your open heart and really feel the energy of our open hearts as we're sharing with you.
Fabulous. Thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you so much, ladies. It's been a pleasure and an honor.
Yeah, thank you. And breathe deep into your heart and love yourself more today than you did yesterday.
Amen.
Bye, everybody. Bye for now.
Well.